What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nati with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMB Sports Zone. And tonight we got two special guests. We got Corey from On the Warpath, and we got Jon from Sports Talk Chicago. And I usually like to save this for the end of the streams, but if you guys could introduce yourselves a little bit and introduce your platforms, your amazing platforms of content here on YouTube and beyond. And we'll start with Corey.
All right, it's Corey, Sanchez 405 on the Warpath. Talk Washington football from perspective of observations. Try to add a little bit of humor to it. Any breaking news. Had some cool guests on in the past four or five shows. Unlike my dude down here at the bottom who has a special guest on like every day. So check me out on the Warpath about now from about 1,500. So trying to get there before I hit my 5-year mark here next week in first video. So
yeah, thank you, Nati, of course, for having me, and Corey, again, great to meet you. This should be fun. You guys can find me anywhere you'd like on social media at John Z Sports. You see it right there on the screen. Sports Talk Chicago is my YouTube channel, but it's also my radio show. I have a daily radio show here in Chicago, 2 to 3 p.m. every day on AM 1530 WCKG. That's Fox Sports Radio Chicago. But all the videos and a lot of clips from the show are posted on my YouTube channel. You get to see my beautiful face, tell you all about Chicago sports, mostly Bears. We also get into some Cubs, White Sox, and Bulls, and some national headlines as well. I love to talk NFL and MLB. So it's great to be here. You know, I saw in the title of this video, it said Versus. Now, Corey, we haven't met before, but I'm assuming that we don't really agree on a lot of stuff. So this should be a really fun night.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I put that in my Instagram story. I said, he really did that. This is how you know you've got a media man in the making right here, is somebody that's trying to stir a pot with two folks that have never met before. And you know, it can only be our boy Nati. He's like a silent assassin, John. He's like, you know, I got this all shucks go about me, but
It's all about the titles, man. I wasn't trying to do any clickbait sort of thing. I knew each one of you guys really well, so like might as well add that in the title. And glad that some people are joining right now, and glad that you guys joined as well, obviously. And you know, we'll start things light as we do on every single live stream until some more people jump on. But first and foremost, what do you make of the Wizards actually cooling off a bit after their 5-game winning streak a couple of weeks ago? And do you think they'll make the playoffs now? If not, the play-in game? What are your thoughts on the hometown team? And we can start with Jon on this one.
Sure. You know, I don't think it's anything to really be concerned about. Here's the thing with the Eastern Conference. You've got 3 good teams at the top, and then 4 through 8, it's a bunch of 500 teams. And, you know, you look at the standings tonight, even the Wizards are right in the thick of it, really. I know it says they're the number 12 seed, but they're only 3 games out of the 8th seed. Such a long way to go in this season. Nothing to really be concerned about. Bradley Beal's averaging 33 points a game, so you can't ask for more from him. Russell Westbrook turning in 20 a game. I think that's kind of a bit of a down year, but, you know, take what you can get to be a sidekick, although he's being billed as a superstar nationally. He is not the superstar in this team anymore. So I'm not fully concerned about this. I think this is a good time to hit the reset button. You're going into the All-Star break. Something that I did see, though, that's very concerning. The Wizards are 5-14 within the conference, in the Eastern Conference. That's a bit scary. It's one of the worst marks in the conference. So they have to beat the teams that they're most familiar with if they want a chance to get into the postseason. But again, that said, a lot of time left. Nothing to really worry about too much yet.
Corey?
Yeah, I mean, this team, they can't stop anybody. They can't defend anything. I mean, you know, I think they could get a vaccine and still catch COVID. But at this point, I can make that joke because I had it. That's why I always got to preface that. And I mean, but the team has played some ball. They've been balling out. A lot of this winning streak was in the Western Conference. The Lakers, who, you know, AD has some injuries. The only loss came against the team they're playing tonight in the Clippers, and they're only down by like 9 right now. But getting ready to go into halftime, it looks like. But they have they've played well as of the last few months. Westbrook, who I think I was reading this right, is almost the all-time leader in triple doubles in the team. He's like in second place already. And it said that he's probably the team's best rebounder. But they're going out there. Bradley Beal, I think he may or may not have cost him that game in Boston the other night. It was just like one of those, like, oh my God, Bradley, really? And you were just hoping that he wasn't. He didn't make himself out. I think there could have been a little bit of questions there, but I think I told you this at the beginning, Nati. I said this team locked themselves into the 6th seed when they got Westbrook, and I still believe that. I think they will make the playoffs, and I don't think they'll have to worry about a playing game or anything like that. And like John said, they're like 3 or 4 games out of the number 4 seed, which shows you how putrid the Western Conference is, and they might need to take a playbook out of the WNBA and just go to an all-out seeding affair across both conferences.
Yeah, man. I mean, NBA divisions don't really matter anymore.
Nope.
You have the Southeast Division. I bet a lot of young Wizards fans out there don't even know the division that we're in. That's how pathetic it is at this point. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Seeding might be the way to go in the future. But with the Wizards, I mean, you kind of touched on this, Corey, with Bradley Beal costing us the game at the very end and not passing out of a double team. I'll give you that. Bradley Beal was probably to blame for that loss at the very end, at least. But he's been balling out. He's averaging 36 points a game this year. That's James Harden type numbers, right? From when he won his MVP award. And I'm not saying Bradley Beal should be an MVP front runner at this point, but I mean, if the Wizards get on another sort of hot streak, rack up some W's, maybe get to like 5th or 6th in the Eastern Conference, Bradley Beal's name should be up there because he's absolutely balling out every single night, man. He is the James Harden. Well, was the James Harden in the Eastern Conference before James Harden decided to move his talents to Brooklyn. But yeah, man, and I liked what I saw out of Russ. The last couple of weeks, he's definitely improved from where we saw in the beginning of the season, where he was just jacking up a bunch of shots, wasn't super efficient. But now, he's turning the ball over less and really dishing out the ball, really being the Russ of old. And we also have Rui Hachimura, right? He's shown that he's a pretty good, solid third option on the Wizards team. It's just about the other pieces, right? Really making sure everybody's up to speed every single night. We have the rookie, Denny Abia, who, I mean, he hasn't been getting too many minutes, hasn't been scoring too much over the last couple of weeks. And hopefully, he hasn't hit a permanent rookie wall and will ultimately overcome the state that he's at right now. But it's all about the other pieces on the Wizards team, because we know Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, even Rui at this point will show up. But yeah, hopefully they make the playoffs. I think they'll still be in the thick of things towards the end of the season. We'll see if they make the playoffs versus just make the play-in game. It's very tight in the East right now, even with all the teams, most of the teams being under 500 at this point. But with that being said, we actually do have NBA All-Star Weekend this upcoming weekend, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people aren't talking too much about it because of the fact that we have the pandemic. There aren't going to be too many fans out there, although there probably will be some based off of the Hawks regular season games. But what are your thoughts about the dunk contest and the 3-point competition participants that were announced this week for NBA All-Star Weekend? And what are your thoughts on the teams as a whole? I know we touched on this with Paul, one of Paul, John's and I's friends last week on the live stream. But what are your thoughts on All-Star Weekend and the teams that have been assembled?
I mean, is Durant even playing? Is that he's not playing, but he's going to be a captain, right? Yeah. Like that's like, oh my gosh, that is. I don't watch the All-Star game just to not see you play, right? Yeah. It's like I always had this grief that Shaq only played 12 games, like back in 05 or something, and he was an All-Star starter. Like, I mean, but people want to see that. This is what the fans want to see. They want to see Kevin Durant. They want to see LeBron. So if you're not going to play, what's the point of having an All-Star game? If these are the premier stars in the league, and you're going to say, well, he's not going to play, what's the point?
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, as far as the weekend goes, I found it odd that the 3-point contest has so much star power, and the slam dunk contest they just totally threw off to the side. I think that's a real joke. I mean, you're having three three players do the slam dunk contest, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't even heard some of these guys. I mean, I only know Obi Toppin, who was just
Yeah.
drafted. I don't even know who these people are. 3-point contest is going to be epic, but Corey, I'm with you. Why not play the damn game? I mean, if you're already going to be doing a weekend, and fortunately, COVID's on the downturn. They're going to be in Atlanta. They've opened up their stadium a bit. Why not have a full game? I think that goes to prove to everybody. And last year was an exception, but usually the All-Star game means absolutely nothing. Nobody cares. You're scoring 200 points in a game. Now, last year, and Nati, you remember this when we talked about this at that time, it was actually competitive. I'll give them credit. They actually played a pretty good game. And I remember we talked about this. I said, you know what? Maybe the All-Star game's back on the up and up here where it's actually going to be watchable. Now they turn around this year and say, we'll do this and that, but no game. The dunk contest, there's going to be 3 people doing it. This is a major step backwards for the NBA.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Last year's All-Star game was probably the best in a long, long time. It was super competitive. I remember that. Everybody was actually playing defense, which you don't get too much in an All-Star game, in any league really, but especially NBA. But yeah, man. In terms of the All-Star teams, along the lines of what Corey said initially, with Shaq being named to the All-Star team in 2005 after playing just 12 games,
something
or
like
15
that,
games, something like that. You also have a guy like Anthony Davis, who I get it. He is the NBA champion. He just, came off an amazing season last year alongside LeBron James on the Lakers, but hasn't played too many games this year. And last time I checked, when he was playing, he actually wasn't too great. Like he wasn't the Anthony Davis that we usually think of this year. Like, he was super inefficient. He even said like he was having a terrible start to the season. Still got named to the All-Star team, even with the injury, right? That has basically kept him sidelined for the last couple of months. So I don't know about that. And for the All-Star team to really take out Devin Booker, right? I mean, obviously they replaced Anthony Davis with Devin Booker, but to not just name Booker an All-Star starter like outright is just insane to me after the season that he's had this year. But in terms of the other like events going on over the weekend, yeah, I definitely agree with Jon, man. The dunk contest, what are we doing? What are we doing? We got 3 guys that Obi Toppin, I think, will get some attraction because 1, he was a great college player, and then 2, because he plays for the Knicks, right? And he was a great dunk contest sort of guy in college as well, had an amazing array of dunks. But you have 2 rookies in the dunk contest this year. Like, whatever happened to some of the best players in the league stepping up for the contest? And, there was always talks about LeBron James potentially being in the dunk contest over the years. And that's the one fault that I have with LeBron, I guess, is him never being able to participate in the dunk contest, because we always want to see his performance on that, Saturday night type of event. But yeah, man, it's not too exciting. Although 3-point competition, man, we got like the best 3-point shooters in the league showing up. So that should definitely be the highlight of All-Star weekend. But moving on from the All-Star team and all the festivities that go along with that, who is your NBA MVP front runner at this point? And we'll start with Corey on this one.
Who is my MVP? I like old boy from the Nuggets right now. I like Jokic. Yeah, I like him. A couple games I've seen him play against the Wizards and everything, and he's listed as a center, but he can do almost anything there is. I like him as the MVP. Granted, that probably won't be it, but right now I like him. I like him as the MVP.
Jokic right now is actually the front runner. If you go look up some models on Basketball Reference, I too agree. I think he's number 1. Behind him, I would actually say Joel Embiid. Heard about there was an argument saying that James Harden should be heavily considered. No. When you leave the Rockets and you leave them in the dust and you cry about going to the Brooklyn Nets and now all of a sudden you're winning with 2 other superstars, there's no MVP talk for you. You have forfeited your privilege to be named the MVP in either conference when you do something like that. Jokic has done it all by himself in Denver. They're a 20-15 team. If he wasn't on that team, they'd be 15-20. They'd probably be 10 times worse than where they are right now. Does it all for them. And Joel Embiid's really turned it on this year. I know Philadelphia is not going to do anything come the postseason because they never do, but Joel Embiid's having a pretty good year.
Don't do that to Doc, man. Don't do that to Doc Rivers.
I love Doc Rivers.
Don't do that to Doc. Don't do that.
You know what? They never do anything. And Ben Simmons, to me, is an overrated basketball player as it is. So I think at this point, hope for Embiid to, I guess, carry the team and see if maybe they could go somewhere in the playoffs. I still don't see it happening. We're starting already.
The 76ers this year are a completely different 76ers. Yes, they have the same players. Okay, they have Joel Embiid, they have Ben Simmons, who I don't agree is overrated. I think he's rated just where he should be. A lot of people talk about how trash he is as a three-point shooter and really, keep him out of the top guards in the league because of that. And I think rightfully so, right? So I don't think he's underrated or overrated. I just think he's rated where he should be. But Joel Embiid, man, he's my MVP front runner. He's carrying the 76ers. Ben Simmons hasn't had too much improvement this year, but Joel Embiid is playing on a whole different level. There's a reason why across sports media right now, people are comparing him to Shaq in his prime. Like, that's how dominant he's playing right now. And he's taking the 76ers, a team that is usually 4th, 5th, 6th in the Eastern Conference every single year. And I believe they're first right now. And they've been first in the East for a while. So I think it's Joel Embiid right now. I know Jokic is balling out as usual for the Nuggets, but when you take everything into consideration, the fact that they have a completely new coaching staff, right? And Doc Rivers should definitely deserve Coach of the Year consideration. But the fact that they have a completely new coaching staff in a COVID-19 sort of world, and Joel Embiid is balling out the way that he is, I think you got to give it to him. And but I don't know. You guys' thoughts on Joel Embiid over Jokic, or you're gonna stand pat with the Jokic pick?
I have no issue with Joel Embiid being in the conversation. I think it's still a bit too early to say, definitely Embiid or definitely Jokic. We have to see how the rest of the season plays out. I feel a bit more strongly for Jokic only because he could do more. He could pass, he could rebound, and he could shoot. And I think he's more valuable to the Nuggets than Embiid is to the 76ers in a sense, I would say. But that said, there's still a way to go.
Let me ask you this, John. Do you think Murray right now is a better player than Ben Simmons? Jamal Murray.
He's a better scorer. That's a fact. But if we're talking about all around, I think Simmons is probably just beating him only because Simmons can rebound and he can also pass the ball well. I'll give him that. But his scoring is atrocious. Talk about a bust when it comes to scoring. Scoring itself, you have to admit, I don't think anybody expected that. No three-point shooting, scoring 16 points a game. I mean, are you kidding me? And people actually consider this guy to be a superstar. That to me is a joke. I mean, wow.
He's the rookie of the year.
Is the NBA? How watered down is the NBA where now we're considering someone like Ben Simmons who's scoring 16 a game a superstar? You got to be scoring at least 20 if you're going to be a top pick like that.
And that's what you just said right there. Key word. This is a scoring league. Mm-hmm. That's why you got Murray. Murray's the better player in the NBA because he's a scorer. Right. So I think if you look at it from that standpoint, you kind of see where Nati's coming from in the sense that if you take Embiid away, what are the 76ers?
Nothing.
So I mean, I see that, but I like the fact that both of them are averaging a double-double right now. But like I said, your big man who can shoot threes, Lord have mercy. Give me that in
threes too, right?
Huh?
Embiid can shoot as well. Yeah. He's not one of those guys who's just gonna give you a spot up three, like 1-3 a game. Like he can shoot. He can shoot some.
I don't know. Embiid, I mean not Embiid, but Jokic, that boy, he just like he's I realized when I said, God, this guy's not. So he's a center. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. But I'd rather, if you think about everything, I'd rather take Joel Embiid's elite defense and his, I guess, like less
elite defense in the East. Come on, Nati.
Oh, he's an elite defender.
It's the East, though. It's the East.
Okay.
It's the East. Come on now.
The NBA. It's the NBA.
It's the
There's
East.
Still NBA professional
it's the East.
Hold on a minute, though. No. This isn't. They play each other all the time, though. Like it's not like in baseball, like where there's only a segmented time for interleague baseball. Like NBA schedule is fluid. I mean, you can play a Western Conference opponent 3 games in a row, then go to the East once in a while. Like eventually, I think it all balances out.
He's going to play them. He's going to play in the East more than he'll play the West. And that's why I'm looking, like you kind of brought up about the Wizards earlier, Nati. Yeah. We're terrible in the East, but we've been beating up on the West a little bit. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like that, from a competition standpoint and building that record, I mean, they're beating up on the East.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know this off the top of my head, but yeah, sure, he's going to play more teams in the East over the course of an entire NBA season, but has he up until now? Like, schedules, like Jon said, they're pretty fluid.
Right.
Maybe he had, a couple of stretches where he was playing against some Western Conference teams, and he has, and he's definitely still balled out, even with Ben Simmons being the Ben Simmons of usual, right? The guy who won Rookie of the Year with 16 points, and I believe it was like 9 assists or something like that over a guy like Donovan Mitchell at the time. But that's a story for another day. But I do want to get to the topic that I know everybody in the chat is looking forward to, especially if you guys watch up Corey's videos and Jon's videos as well, and know about them and the content that they produce and their opinions and all that. The biggest news story that broke this week for the Washington football team was Alex Smith's pending release, technically, because he hasn't officially been released by the team, but we all know it's coming. So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the release and the news of it breaking on Monday? What are your thoughts on everything that went into the release, right? Everybody's talking about how the GQ story didn't really matter, but what are your thoughts on that whole situation? And do you think Washington made the right move? And we'll start with Jon.
Beautiful. So you start with the non-DMV native. So for all of you in the chat who are very worried about what I'm going to say, I'm just going to say it very simply to you. You guys are making a big mistake. Sorry to inform you. You know what? It's so funny. It's just like here in Chicago with Mitchell Trubisky. Okay? Here's the thing. You guys are ungrateful. You're ungrateful. You have a quarterback who's winning you football games, and all you want to do is run him out of town. I get it. I understand. He's hurt. He's a little bit older. 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. That's uncharacteristic of Alex Smith. But the fact remains, they're 5-1. They were this past year when he started. Alex Smith, career in Washington, 11-5. He's the only quarterback with a winning record there over the past 3 years. They went 7-9 this year and made the playoffs. He went 5-1. Imagine if he didn't even come back. It'd be way different. You guys wouldn't make the playoffs. So just keep that in mind. Remember, who else is out there? You want Sam Darnold, you want Marcus Mariota. I'm not really sure you're going to get as many wins if you go after one of those 2 guys. So unless you are in for Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, and we know that that's a pipe dream, it even is for the Bears right now, I don't really know how much improvement you're going to necessarily get with the people out there. So just realize that I know everybody wants to fight and talk about emotions here and just say, let's get rid of them. But you have to remember, what's the backup plan? And if there is no backup plan, you're going to be sorely disappointed come next year.
Ready, set, go, Corey.
The backup plan is you save $14 million in cap space. This is a business, first of all. Second of all, the man, my grandma, who is 90, was walking better than him this time last year.
Oh, you did this.
I'm just saying. No. I'm just saying. Jon, I get it, brother. You should be a producer, because I could get you to work at Lifetime and you could do these movies where it's just feel good and we can get in our feelings and we're going to be like, oh, the Alex Smith story, the iron wheel, the titanium wheel, the Alex Smith story coming to the CBS Saturday night movie. Just right there. Alex Smith knew what he was doing with this GQ article. I thought it was and I lost a lot of flavor for Alex Smith after this, because he knew what he was doing. And it's interesting. of all the biggest interview that GQ could get, they have it where you can read it. Stop it. And then he comes in there on Twitter, makes that little fake Twitter account, answers stuff. And here's another thing with the former name of the team. Oh, if you want to be called a racist. I'm like, what kind of joke is that?
Thank
what
you.
kind of
Thank
joke
you.
is that?
Oh my gosh. Nobody has talked about that on social media.
What are you talking about? Like nobody. Everybody is blind to it. I get he was 5-1. I appreciate what Alex Smith did. I do. I really do. But that defense, and he couldn't finish the deal. I'm going to tell you the same thing, and we'll get into your boy. The one thing about Mitch Trubisky is he can't beat big boys. He could not finish the deal. He had to get some dude who was taking his finals to come in and pitch relief in the biggest game of the season. I'm just saying, Alex Smith, bye, boy. I get my $14 million. I'll go either draft a quarterback or I'll go out. You know who I want. You know who I want, Nati.
Yeah.
If I can get him, I'm going to get the blank check out. I'm going to get one Rain Dakota Prescott if I can. But I need to come down to common sense. Marcus Mariota, he's the last quarterback to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, not named Tom Brady. Come on now. I yield the rest of my time.
Keep going. Go, John.
I yield the rest of my time there.
Marcus Mariota is a joke for a quarterback. And if you're going to insinuate that he's better than Alex Smith, you're surely mistaken.
Oh, my God. Stop.
Secondly, I didn't read the whole GQ interview, so I'm not going to say, I'm not going to comment on everything that he said, okay? Mm-hmm. But I will say this. I understand the frustration, and here's why. The guy's been screwed. And not just here, in his entire career. And you can't disagree with me on that. This guy started out in San Francisco, did okay. Then if you guys remember, he competed with Troy Smith, who ended up being a bust. They actually thought Troy Smith from Ohio State was going to be a better quarterback than Alex Smith. They gave up on him. Then they got rid of Troy Smith. They brought in Kaepernick. They rode the hot hat. Kaepernick got the job. Unfortunately, now he's out of football. That's for different reasons. Goes to Kansas City, does a great job. They draft Patrick Mahomes. Alex Smith is gone again. Comes to Washington, wins again, and now he's getting forced out. I don't blame the guy for being frustrated because every place he's gone, he's been forced out of, and he's not a bad quarterback. So I will say that.
It's called the CFL. It's called retirement. If you can't handle the pressure of being a big boy and drawing a check, I feel so bad for you, Alex Smith, that you get paid starter money just to sit there and warm the bench. Evidently, there is something in his career that he can't do. Oh, that's right. He can't win big games either. He got beat by your boy Mariota head to head. He was spotted 22 points. And they couldn't seal 21 points. They couldn't seal the deal. Kaepernick came in there, and they wrote the story about Kaepernick, my homeboy. John, I get where you're coming from with Alex Smith. I can't feel sorry for him. He needs to take a hint, dude. This just ain't for you anymore. It really isn't. It's not for you. And the way he pushed off against Philadelphia on his leg, he was wincing. Every time he dropped back, I held my breath. Nati, you know exactly where I'm coming from. Every time he was a sitting duck. Your all-pro right guard, Brandon Sheriff, couldn't give him enough time. And like I said, Grandma May, she could have thrown a ball quicker than Alex Smith in that pocket.
You know what? I understand. I get it. He's older. He's not Alex Smith of a couple of years ago. There's an opportunity for him to still be that person. And I think that's something we should all be considering. There could be a good situation that comes up, good offensive line, a team that needs a game manager, not necessarily a big-time player, but a game manager, someone who doesn't turn the ball over. That's why I wouldn't be opposed to him coming here to Chicago, whether it be to compete with a rookie or to back up. I'm okay with either of those scenarios. Because if the Bears don't get Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, and they are dead set on not bringing back Mitch Trubisky, I'd rather have Alex Smith than Nick Foles. Nick Foles is a bum, and we saw that happen this past year. So that being said, if there's the right situation, I still think Alex Smith can moderately succeed. I think in the year in which he did get hurt, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks that year that was shortened. I could see him replicating that success with a different team if the situation is right. Yeah, I see. It's a business point, nothing personal. You know what? No. I feel for him. He should be taking it personal. Okay, this is the 4th time this has happened to him in his career. I can't believe he's even still in the NFL. That's unbelievable as it is. He's been screwed out of many different locations. Not a bad quarterback. I get it. He doesn't win the big game, but you know what? The guy does not turn the ball over. Very confident NFL quarterback. At one point, I would say, was maybe the 10th or 11th best, that career year he had with KC. Not a bad quarterback, you know, and everybody is so, I think, quarterback spoiled because realistically, let's be honest here. How many quarterbacks could win no matter what? Maybe 5 in the NFL today. Like, let's see, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. I can name a couple of more. Pat Mahomes. Okay. Everybody else has their flaws. Dak has his flaws. Marcus Mariota is just a trash quarterback as it is. There are many other quarterbacks who are being insinuated here in this quarterback carousel when it comes to trade rumors and free agency, who all have their flaws. Carson Wentz was actually traded for picks, and he was the worst statistical quarterback in the NFL last year. So let's reconsider what we think of as a good quarterback or what we think. All of this stuff is just based on personal opinion, because the truth is there are only 5 quarterbacks who I can name right now who are legitimately going to win wherever they go, and we're going to put up great numbers, whomever they have around them. Everybody else has their flaws, and they're pretty apparent. That includes Mitch. That includes Alex Smith. That includes Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Corey, do you want to?
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with him. Like I said, I don't feel sorry for him. You're a grown man. You're almost 40. You know, you're getting paid millions of dollars, and I'm getting paid 5 figures a year to do to work for the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I really don't have any. I love the story. I respect what he did. You know, no matter how much Joe Theismann tried to make it about him, I think I want to say he's a good dude. I do. But I think, like most of us, he's human. He's petty. Ron Rivera said something, and you can tell what on said some things about, well, I take Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen could have led us to that. Ron's lying if he says that. Ron is lying. Kyle Allen cost us a game in New York. So he's lying straight up.
Okay.
Is that my cat? Is that my cat?
No.
That's not.
Kyle
okay.
Allen, okay, he cost us that game, but I could just as easily say that Alex Smith cost us. I think it was his first start or his second start where he threw
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit game where he
Chase
threw
Young
2
cost
picks
us that
and,
game.
like, no, he threw 2 picks. I believe it was in overtime, right? Or towards the end of the 4th quarter. It was towards the end of the game. 2 picks, 2 straight possessions at the end of the game cost us the game. So
that was the Giants. That was the Giants when he came in and he came in relief. He came off cold.
Mm-hmm.
He did come off cold in that game. So
okay. Kyle Allen, I mean, didn't have any starts up until,
because if you look at where he turned the ball over at, I think each game that he like threw an interception, I think they won in. It was something crazy. Maybe besides one game.
Probably
and
that game,
no, it wasn't that game. But it was that Giants game. So he comes off cold, and then he plays and he wins those games. And we go on and we almost beat Detroit if it's not for Chase Young. Then you're going on the Bungles, the Boys, the Steelers, and then the 49ers in succession. And then, I get hurt. I can't do this anymore. I got my leg. I can't push my leg through. He's a liability. He's a liability. Aetna would not cover him. Kaiser Permanente would not cover him. At the end of the day, they wouldn't give him. They wouldn't give this. If Alex Smith is a house, he's in a flood zone. Nobody is going to insure you with him. You've got to make the best decision for your franchise. You've got this defense, and this. We're not talking about this if Washington doesn't make the playoffs too. Because everything, it would make sense in the grand scheme thing. The worst thing, I know how oxymoronic that sounds, is Washington went to the playoffs and won the division. Because now you're talking about, we've got to shore up this team. We've got to find somebody who can lead us, and it is not a liability. Alex Smith can lead, but he is a liability. Those are two key things. You've got to have somebody who can lead and who's not a liability. If you can, that's huge.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I want to shout. Hold on, Jon. I want to shout out Derek Hawkins. Great show. I mean, that's all them. That's all them. There's a reason why they're great at what they do on YouTube as content creators and even beyond YouTube. So that's all them. But go ahead, Jon, if you have any last comments on that.
No, I hear what you're saying. You know what? That's a good way to put it. He is a leader, and you can't take that away from him. Even with the performance that happened this past year, it seems like a lot of different teams respond to him, even though they don't win the big game. I understand what you're saying. Look, it would have been nice as a sentimental gesture to keep him on the roster. I understand the money wasn't going to be there. But please, if you're Washington, if you're actually serious about, wanting to win, then don't go out and make a stupid move, okay? No Sam Darnold, okay? No Marcus Mariota. No Marcus Mariota. I'd rather take Dak Prescott than Marcus Mariota. That's a fact.
What did he say? What did you say? You said Dak over Marcus?
That's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you good. You good with that, bro. Yeah, we agree. We agree.
But if I were them, I'd really stay away from Marcus, and I'd stay away from Sam Darnold. Now, I will say this, and I texted Nati about this before, and everybody brace yourselves, literally, because I know someone's going to burst out of their chair and turn off the camera. It wouldn't be a horrible idea.
Oh, no.
For the Washington football team to sign Mitch Trubisky. Now, let me explain before everybody freaks out and cries in a corner. Here's the thing. Mitch Trubisky does know how to win with a great defense. He's done it for 4 years here in Chicago. He's used to being a game manager. Does not turn the ball over. Not as much as some of these other quarterbacks. He is known to be a game manager. Needs a good running back. Likes to throw a lot of balls near the line of scrimmage. He's essentially a healthy Alex Smith. And believe it or not, despite popular opinion, players love to play for him. The Bears love Mitch Trubisky. The players do. Fans don't. Media doesn't.
They're going to let him go.
It's not the players' decision to let him go or keep him. That's Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy hates him.
Bears, though.
They are the Bears.
Okay. Bears players like playing for Mitch Trubisky. All I'm saying is it wouldn't be a bad idea if you're in a pinch because he'd be cheap. You could probably get him for 1 year, $15 million, probably around the same salary as Alex Smith, even cheaper. I could see. You could bring him in. He could either compete with Heineke, he could start for the job, whatever it might be, and see what he could do. The guy is mobile. He can move much more than Alex Smith. Not a liability. He has 2 good legs. Passes a lot of balls near the line of scrimmage, 5 to 10 yards. You pair him up with Terry McLaurin. I mean, I think that's a match made in heaven right there to begin with. And he has a great defense. And Mitch is good when he has all of those components working with him. He's a quarterback who does need help. I'm not saying he's, Deshaun Watson. He needs a lot of help to win football games. But Washington does have that help on standby right now. They're in a great position. So I'm just saying it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world if you're in a pinch to at least consider it.
If Marcus Mariota is if he's Nike, Mitch Trubisky.
Don't hit him with it. Don't hit him with it, Nati. Don't do it, brother.
Do it.
Oh, Lord,
Sure, they bring the same type of thing that you want, right? They give you the shoe, right? They give you the thing that you need on your feet. But even in that department, it's a whole different. Mitch Trubisky, as I like to call him, Mitch Trubisky, not Trubisky. If he comes here to the Washington football team, I've stuck with this team for so many years as a young buck, right? Got ridiculed in high school, got ridiculed in middle school for being a Redskins fan at the time. And, how can you be a fan of that team? They constantly lose. They're not going to bring you any joy. I mean, you're stressed out 3.5 hours every Sunday. Why do you do that to yourself? If Mitch Trubisky comes to the Washington football team, I will seriously seriously question my allegiance to this team.
Stop it. Stop.
Yes.
Stop
yes.
it.
Yes.
Stop
I'm not
it.
gonna
Hold
jump
on.
off. I'm not gonna
Hold
jump
on.
off. It will never
No.
be enough for me
No.
to jump off.
Don't
I'm
you do
seriously
that.
gonna
Don't
yes.
no.
Yes.
Don't you
yes.
do that.
I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
question. I'm not gonna jump
Nati.
off. I'm gonna question.
Nati.
Yes.
Nati.
Yes.
After
With the talent that we
hold
have.
on. Really?
Question.
With the talent.
Keyword question. Question. I'm gonna think twice. I'm not gonna jump off the bandwagon. There's no bandwagon. I'm not gonna jump off shit when it comes to the Washington football team. I will always be a fan. I'm gonna question my allegiance. I'm gonna question if we're doing the right thing. Let me say that. I'm gonna question if we're doing the right thing.
Fix yourself, brother. Fix yourself. I'm telling you. I didn't question myself after the strippers and the cheerleaders. I didn't question myself after yesterday. And you're sitting here over Mitch. I can't beat a team
on the field, not off the field. Let me clarify some more things.
Okay.
Not off the field. Off the field, man.
All right. Okay. You're about to give me a stroke here. So, John, I'm just gonna tell you this. I went back. I prepared for you, and I told Nati. I said I was sharpening my axe. I'm looking on Pro Football Reference here, and I'm looking at some of games that Mitch Trubisky has played. And if I look at this correctly, I think over his career since he's become the full-time starter, he's only won 3 games against teams with winning records. What was it? He beat Seattle on Monday night in 2018. They beat the Rams, and I think they beat Minnesota twice. So 4 times. Okay. So they beat Kirk family member and Jared Goff, and then Russell Wilson. This dude screams Kirk Cousins. Like he can't do it. He can't win against big game. The biggest victory for the Bears last year was against who?
I would probably, if we're talking about the best team they faced.
No. I said, what's the biggest win? What's the biggest win?
Tampa Bay.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
And who was the starting quarterback for that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, it wasn't gosh. It wasn't gosh. It wasn't. Oh my gosh. It was hold them and folds them up, right?
That's right.
And one thing, his health is a question, or his ability not to make starts. The man's never started 16 games in his career.
Hold on a minute, though. He wasn't hurt this past year. He was benched wrongly, I might add, by Matt Nagy. He would have played 16 games if he played this year. But go ahead, keep going.
I'm just saying. Well, they went 2-2. What? They went 2-2, and okay, they were in. So against Minnesota and Tennessee. So I'm just like, Mitch, come on now, man. I what you're saying, like his no, you got to dig deep on Mitch Trubisky. I was sitting here getting ready for this thing. I was like, well, he doesn't have a bad record. He's 29-22 as a starter. Maybe I should just take a look at him. And then I was like, oh dear God, they haven't beat nobody. To clinch the playoff, what was it? They destroyed Houston. We know how great they were last year. Minnesota, they barely beat them, and then they destroyed Jacksonville, who hadn't won a game since September, and couldn't and needed help because they got blown out by Green Bay.
Corey, so
yes, sir.
If EB from the Junkies, I know Junkies, a lot of problems, a whole lot of problems. Don't listen to them on the TV, but if he says that he pulls
shout out
his
Travis
hairs
Thomas.
Out, yeah. Big interview. Go check that out. Go check that out on Corey's channel. If EB says that he pulls his hairs out when he watches Alex Smith play, what will happen if he watches Mitch Trubisky behind center? He'll pull his eyes out.
He'll have stroke. He'll have stroke.
It's just. I'm sorry, John. I get it. You know,
I can't do it.
I'll give you this. Ron Rivera, since he's come to DC, he's always talked about wanting to have a quarterback who has mobility. Mitch Trubisky definitely has that. Mitch Trubisky isn't the worst thrower you'll ever see in your life, but his passing isn't too hot. And, you know, it's something to see these stats. It's something to read up on Mitch Trubisky and articles and stuff. And it's another thing to watch him. Obviously, John has watched more Bears games than I have in the past, but as a resident of Chicago the last couple of years, I've seen some Bears games. Every chance I got, Mitch Trubisky has not shown me any signs of being a quality NFL quarterback. I'm sorry, John. I just got to admit it. Then, I know we talked about this over text. the last month of the season, 5 weeks of the season, that Mitch Trubisky, had this last season where he was actually doing pretty well. I'll give you that. He was doing pretty well, making some good decisions, throwing the ball really well. Give me the rankings of each one of the defenses that he played in the last month of the NFL season.
You know what? No. That's
and then compare that to the beginning of the season where he wasn't playing some of the best defenses in the league. He was just playing against average defenses in the league. I'm sorry, John. And that was when he got benched. So maybe the Bears have something, right? Maybe they thought, you know what? Mitch Trubisky hasn't been performing against average NFL teams, or at least average NFL defenses. So we're going to bench him, give Nick Foles a chance. Obviously, didn't work out. I'll give you that. Didn't work out. But can you blame them for really trying to make a move at quarterback and really saying enough is enough with Mitchell Trubisky after he's been underperforming since his season a couple years back when they were
12-4? I have never seen a quarterback bench going 2-0. Ever. If you're undefeated, you don't get benched. And what? Because you throw one interception in a 16-point game, all of a sudden your career is over? And it would have been over if Nick Foles didn't get hurt. He would have been done as a Bear, I guarantee it, because Matt Nagy was not going to go back. The fact that he went back and reversed his decision made him look bad. That was embarrassing for Matt Nagy to do. And then Mitch bailed him out by making the playoffs.
That's what we did.
Okay? You can't be saying that. No. I've never seen a quarterback get benched after going 2-0. That is ludicrous. And the Bears did that. And that should prove to a lot of people what really goes on behind the scenes at Hallis Hall, okay? Think to yourself, what quarterback gets benched being undefeated? And Mitch, just 2 weeks before on opening weekend, came back from a 16-point deficit. It was 16 points in the beginning of the third quarter, and Matt Nagy just said, you're done. And he was facing Atlanta, who we all know is prone to giving up many, many upsets, many leads. I mean, their head coach got fired for doing that this past year. It's not crazy to say Mitch would have also come back in that game. They would have been 3-0. Then it would have really looked bad. So all I'm saying is I really don't think he deserved to be benched. I would have loved to see him play for a full year. Full year, and that's what I'm asking for again.
We already saw that.
I want a full year with no meddling and no screwing around. Because you know what?
Saw that.
No, let me finish. I said no screwing around. Because when Mitch Trubisky came back, Matt Nagy said, I'm giving over the play calling. Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, is going to call plays. And what do you know? He looked really good. They called plays with his strength. Looked a lot like 2018 Mitch and the 2018 Bears. Then we find out at the end of the year, the last two games, which ironically not for the Packers and the Saints, guess who was calling plays again? Matt Nagy. And look at what happened to Mitch and what happened to the Bears offense. The fact is, Matt Nagy doesn't like Mitch Trubisky and never did. And I think it's pretty wrong that, you go out of your way to make sure he doesn't succeed. It's a quarterback-driven league now. Hey, when Lamar Jackson was drafted, John Harbaugh didn't say, you're going to become a wide receiver, and I'm going to make sure you never run the football. No. He said, you know what, Lamar? I know you like to run the ball. I'm going to cater my offense around you. We'll actually make our running backs worse for your sake, and you're going to run all day long. And that's all they've done, and they've won. If he was with any other coach who wanted to do it their way, Lamar Jackson today would be considered a bust. So let's rethink how this works here. If you have a coach who caters to you and you're a quarterback, you're in a good position. Mitch Trubisky has never had that for his career. He came up under John Fox, who was on his last legs as a coach, and he's a horrible analyst now at ESPN. Horrible coach, horrible analyst. Now you got Matt Nagy, who never wanted to use him. I want to give Mitch Trubisky 1 year in his system in which he's actually going to be catered to his strengths. Then we could talk about, let's see how we can evaluate him. Is he really a good quarterback?
Corey, you have anything to say?
They lost to Detroit at Chicago, right? Beat up Houston, beat Minnesota at Minnesota, beat Jacksonville, got blown out by Green Bay, lost to Minnesota on national television, got beat by two worthy opponents, New Orleans and Tennessee, lost to the Rams on national television. Good teams. Beat a bad team. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Nick Foles beating Tampa Bay again. Lost to Indianapolis. That was Nick Foles. I'll be honest with you, and I start saying this now. If ands and butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But Dan Quinn probably would not have gotten fired as quickly as he had. if Mitch Trubisky played the whole game in Atlanta. They would have won their first game of the season that day.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical, so I can't say you're wrong, but you can't say I'm wrong either. It's a complete hypothetical. And you know what? Mitch, on opening week, came back from a 21-6 deficit in the fourth quarter. Okay?
Against who?
Detroit. So what? The Falcons' defense is 10 times worse. What's the difference? So before you say that, you know what? It was the beginning of the third quarter. The guy makes his first mistake of the day. He had no picks up to that point, and Matt Nagy says, "You know what? Yeah, you're done. I've seen enough. I've just seen enough. The team's undefeated. How the hell have you seen enough? Enough of what? It's the first interception of the game in the third quarter. You're down by 16 with a quarterback who just came back from a 16-point deficit in week 1. You have to admit, at least, that's a bit fishy."
Yeah. It's a bit fishy. They went 3-0 against great talent. Started out 3-0 against great teams like Detroit, the Giants, and the Falcons. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Man, I just hope for fans' sake that Washington, Chicago actually gets a real quarterback behind center, and
Yes.
we can finally know what having a good quarterback is like on a consistent basis. So then Alex Smith, Mitch Trubisky, Kirk Cousins, all these guys, like, we wouldn't have to like look towards them as like, being the answer at the quarterback position that they're clearly are not.
Yeah.
But I do want to say though, I mean, since we're on the Bears, I mean, I had a whole script ready, like, of questions for everybody to answer, but screw that. Like, let's stick with the Bears. John, who do you think should be? Okay, I mean, I kind of know your answer, but if not Mitch Trubisky, who do you think should be the week 1 starter for the Chicago Bears this upcoming season?
Well, let's talk about unrealistic options. Then we'll talk about realistic options. I would give up everything they have to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. I prefer Russell Wilson. I saw a lot of people saying I'd rather have Deshaun Watson. You're an idiot if you think that, because Russell Wilson's a proven winner and he's had nothing. And I know this past year, I've heard it from everybody, they had Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. But you know what? Early in his career, they didn't have anything, and he still found a way to win football games. Now, Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback. He's young. The Bears would have to be responsible for that contract. I still think he could work. I don't think he'd be as successful. And the reason I say that is because Deshaun Watson needs something around him to win. Russell Wilson, not necessarily based on past results in past seasons. Not as much. He doesn't need everything to win. He could use a little bit of talent and end up getting by and winning football games. Now, those are two unrealistic options. I'd love to see the Bears pull it off. Highly doubt they will. So at that point, you have to ask yourself, if you're the Bears, what's the best option? What are you going to do? I mean, you could roll with Foles and draft somebody, which I could see them doing. That's actually my most realistic conclusion at this point. I would prefer, if you can't get Wilson or Watson, I'd prefer you re-sign Mitch, you keep Foles, you draft somebody with the 20th overall pick. All three of them compete. No favoritism. No, we have to give it to Mitch because he's been here for a while. Nothing. May the best man win. And if somebody screws up, you got 2 people right behind you. You throw them in. You get it all worked out by week 5. And then moving forward, you have a quarterback for the rest of the season to keep you in the playoff hunt. That would be my preferred option. I don't want Sam Darnold. I do not want Sam Darnold. Please stop with the rumors. Stop perpetuating that narrative. Sam Darnold is a bust. And for some reason, he's being defended. He's always defended in the national media. He's defended locally here in Chicago. Look at his numbers. I mean, those are atrocious. I can't believe he's even in the NFL with those types of numbers. He should be demoted. There's a CFL guy right there.
So rather keep the bust that you know rather than the bust that you don't.
That's true.
Am I crazy?
No, you're not. Not on that. On Mitch Trubisky, yes. Alex Smith, absolutely. Because I don't think he'd come to Chicago because y'all would need like a heater on the field with him the whole time to get that Chicago winter that starts in like November, bruh. He definitely won't be able to move. Yeah.
I will say this. I don't buy the argument that, I buy half of it that Russell Wilson can win, without weapons. But I don't buy the other half and that Deshaun Watson can. Last season, when he had, one of the best receivers in the league, I'll give you that, and DeAndre Hopkins, right? Outside of DeAndre Hopkins, what did the Texans have? They didn't have a really good offensive line. They didn't have a really good, consistently healthy receiving core. They didn't have a good stable of running backs, and he was still able to take them to the playoffs. So I don't really buy the argument that Deshaun Watson can't win if he doesn't have weapons. Last year, the cup board was like completely bare. Like, we got to be honest with ourselves. David Johnson, I mean, he's a shell of himself. When he was on the Cardinals for that 1 year, we almost got 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. Everybody thought he was going to be the next running back up, right? Like, everybody thought he was going to be a star in this league. Then, injuries derailed his career. But I mean, Will Fuller was balling out, but I personally think it was Deshaun Watson that was allowing him, that was enabling him to ball out throughout the course of the season. And also the fact that Will Fuller was really the only legit wide receiver 1/high end 2 on that roster, if we're going to be honest, up until he got suspended with PEDs at the tail end of the season. But I don't know if Corey, you have any thoughts on this, or if John, you want to, if you have like a rebuttal for it, but I just don't buy the argument that Deshaun Watson, like, he has to have weapons in order for him to succeed. I just think if you have, maybe average talent around him, I think he's the kind of guy that will allow everybody to excel and allow everybody to perform above what you're paying them to perform for. So
it's the BS narrative, similar to the anti-Sam Darnold narrative, right? Sam Darnold, if you put everything beside him, he's going to be good. No, he's completing under 60% of his passes for his career. That's not Adam Gase. That is Sam Darnold. You look at what Tannehill did in Miami under Gase, and then what Darnold did. That's all you need to know. He's still throwing completing 64%, 67% of his passes. But going back to Deshaun Watson, the guy, I mean, you look at it. You look at what he did. He was one of the best ranked quarterbacks last year, 4-12 team. He threw 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions in almost 4,900 yards. Come on now. Like, who
wasn't a stats pattern either.
He wasn't a stats pattern. Defense, if we're being for real, that defense was terrible. They gave up 36 to John's boy.
Yeah, there you go.
They gave up 36 to John's boys.
That should prove that Mitch Trubisky's a pretty good option, huh?
No, that should prove to you that the Texans are pretty bad defense, my friend. But so it's crap. It's a load of crap. Because the same people who aren't defending Deshaun Watson are probably the same people who are defending Sam Darnold and saying, "Oh, well, somebody should take a fire." I'm gonna tell you something. I know used Kleenex that I could get more use out of than Sam Darnold. It's true, man.
You're right. No, I agree.
He's
Sam
garbage.
Darnold's a joke. He's a joke of a quarterback.
I don't think he's any worse than Mitch.
He's worse than Mitch.
Yeah, he's worse than Mitch. I will give John this till the cows come home. If you put a gun up to my head today and you said you got to take Mitch or Sam, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Give the Jets defense. Give the Jets defense and
stop it.
I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's good. You're not hearing those words out of my mouth. What I'm saying is give him a defense, and I promise you, same sort of production as Mr. Trubisky.
But here's the thing, though. The defense will not explain, like Corey said, a 58% completion percentage. That's on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold throwing so many picks per year. The guy can't even hold on to the football. That's Sam Darnold. If you fumble the ball, that's your fault. If you're making bad decisions and you're throwing a lot of picks, that's your fault. Okay, who's been Sam Darnold throwing to? It doesn't matter, though. That doesn't matter. Here's the thing. You can't be making bad decisions, okay? You can't be making bad decisions.
Nati, I'll give you this. Name me, through his first 3 Super Bowls, name me one of Tom Brady's elite receivers.
Thank you.
That's Tom Brady, though.
No. This is Tom Brady before Tom Brady. This is Tom Brady before Tom Brady.
He always had the GOAT mentality, though. Like, I feel like with all these great players, like, I mean, sure, they don't ultimately at the end of their careers, right? They obviously get a bunch of coaching that allows them to develop as players and all that. But at the same time, coming into the league, they all had that like killer instinct. And I feel like Tom Brady was the same way. Sure, his defenses were a huge reason why he won the first 3 Super Bowls, but I mean, there's a reason why they kept Brady, all those years leading up to his 4th Super Bowl win, right? Because there was a gap in between the 3rd and the 4th. So
yeah,
I don't think that's fair. I don't think you should compare Tom Brady to any quarterback. If we're going to be honest, because he's just on another level.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like at the end of the day, this is what GameStop this is GameStop stock pretty much from a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
we are bringing up a bunch of turds, It's like, you know what? I'd like to have that. At the end of the day, they're both a bowel movement. At the end of the day, you're going to need toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like I said, they use Kleenex to come in there and be very handy at that time. I mean, we're comparing apples to oranges. We really don't know what's going to happen until St. Patrick's Day or 2 days beforehand. I have the outlook that this team is going to get the best quarterback available out there. And a lot of people really haven't talked about this. I'm not a fan of them, but Cam is out there.
No, don't do that.
Cam is out there. And I'm just, and this is devil's advocate. I'm not a Cam guy. I'm not, I think he's got shoulder problems and everything, but how can you entertain Darnold and not entertain Cam Newton, a former MVP?
Wouldn't have to
if I'm not saying, you won't have to give up anything for him. You get him on a short deal, maybe a year or two. Give him a year. Give him about 3. The offense maybe not have suited him. So we're comparing apples to oranges at the end of the day with these quarterbacks. Terrible quarterbacks. Out of your top that would be quote unquote available. So maybe Dak if he hits free agency market, and Russell, Deshaun, because nobody else is going anywhere else. So
Corey. So first off, man, I forgot about you guys. My bad. But all the people in the chat, Tone, B Nizzle, X Fuzzy Panda X, everybody, King Evo, everybody, Chris, Derek as well. I saw your question. Hopefully, I think John sort of touched on it on why he's comfortable with like Mr. Trubisky over Sam Darnold. But I do want to say though, I'll save a lot of like my Alex Smith like sort of opinions for our show, John. Hopefully we hash it out there on the debate show. But I will say this though. I agree, Corey, with the whole like Cam Newton versus Sam Darnold thing. Cam Newton's going to come on the cheap. We're not going to have to give up maybe a 2nd, 3rd, any picks to get Cam Newton. So I definitely agree with you there. But what you said about comparing crap pretty much is literally what John and I were having a discussion about throughout the course of the 2020 season when it came to Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. So I hope for Bears fans' sake that they actually get a quarterback in this free agency because, man, it's enough to know that like you guys just totally whiffed on the 2017 quarterback pick, and obviously everybody knows about Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, going to different destinations, even while you guys traded up in the draft to get Mr. Trubisky. I don't like to harp on it because I mean it sucks. We know as Washington fans, we know they're very dark days, and that was definitely one of them for Bears fans. But yeah, I don't know, man. Mr. Trubisky again in Chicago. It's just I don't know if the fans will be for that. I don't know. I definitely know the management is not for that. So I think it's definitely time to move on, much like we're doing with Alex Smith, and just start anew and give you guys a consistent winner, much like Ron Rivera and co are trying to do here in DC.
Yep.
Nati, let me remind your audience, because we've known each other for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
You remember at the very beginning when Mitch was drafted, you told me, hey, don't discount him yet. He has a long way to go. I think he could be an okay quarterback. And I was on the side. I was on the side. I already said he was a bust. I said, year 1, bust. but I came around and we both totally did a 180. Now we're on the opposite side of the equation. That's pretty funny.
It's really crazy, man. I literally remember when the Bears had like that amazing season, first year in college, 12-4, I believe.
Right.
And my gosh, they were the talk of the town. And I kept saying, Mitch Trubisky, I mean, he's showing really good signs and all that. And like we were all completely opposite side when it came to Mitch Trubisky then. And when it comes to him now. So it's sort of interesting how things play out. But again, for both of our fan bases, man, let's just get quarterbacks that like really could produce behind center and aren't too controversial and aren't labeled busts at any point. So yeah, but with that being said, though, I do. We have about 10 minutes maybe in the stream. I do want to get to a couple more things in the stream. And first and foremost, I have a list of free agents / highly tradable players at the quarterback position right now and in March of 2021. And I was wondering, I'm going to just throw these names out there. And if you guys could give me the team that you think the player will ultimately end up on by the time the 2021 season comes across, that'd be great. And the names I'll rattle off. If you guys are ready, probably should have like pen and paper, or if you have good memory, good luck. But so Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, Cam Newton, Mitch Trubisky, and then last but not least, Alex Smith. And we'll start with John on this one.
Okay. I believe Deshaun Watson isn't really going to go anywhere. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to play week 1 because he's going to probably sit out. I think he's staying on the Texans no matter what. I do think Dak is actually going to stay with Dallas, and here's why. They don't have any other options. I think it'd be stupid of them to at least move on. Franchise tag him, give him a 1-year deal. It's not a good idea to let him go this quickly, in my opinion. Derek Carr is an interesting case. I did see a report that Gruden has really grown into Carr, and I do believe that. Now, I know at first there were some tensions there, and Gruden wanted his own quarterback. But Derek Carr has done a great job. And I do know this much. He won't be going to a team in the North. The guy can't win under 50 degrees. That's a fact. So I think he'd actually stay with Oakland. Marcus Mariota is interesting. I have a very sick feeling the Bears are going to get him in some capacity. I don't know if he's going to start or if he's going to back up or if there's going to be a competition. But I have a very sick feeling they're going to trade for Marcus Mariota. So I'll say the Bears for that. Cam Newton. I'm not sure where he's really going to go. I could see Washington take him on and have another quarterback competition.
Connections are strong. Yeah.
I guess I'll go with Washington. Mitch Trubisky. Oh, boy. I got so many locations for this guy. I got so many places where I know he's going to win. He'd win in Washington. He'd win if he came back here to Chicago. But I actually think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I might be crazy here, Denver. Denver Broncos. I think he's going to go to Denver.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, not bad.
Drew Lock is similar to Mitch right now. A lot of people over there think he's a bust, and he had a horrible year. Vic Fangio, former Bears defensive coordinator, head coach in Denver. They could have a quarterback competition. So I'm going to put Denver down. That could be a dark horse team. Not a lot of people are talking about it. I think he could go there. And then Alex Smith,
Chicago.
No, I don't think so. I love the guy. But his market is very, very limited, I would say. Very limited. Probably going to be a backup somewhere. I could see him maybe starting in a really quarterback-deprived place. Like, for example, maybe he'll go to Carolina, and they're going to draft somebody, obviously. And, they could go back and forth and have Alex start a couple of games, then bring in the rookie, use him as a bridge. So maybe Carolina, but even if not them, I mean, I have no clue on where Alex Smith would go. I say right now it's a 50-50 chance he even has a job next year. I could see him just staying out there, not being a free agent. I could see him retiring at this point. So there are a lot of questions for him. He's the one guy on this list where I don't even know if he's going to have a job next year.
Huh. So, oh, wow. He got mad at you, didn't he? So here we go. We're going to, we're up here. So Deshaun Watson, Nati, did he really just Dang, John, you got him good, brother. You got him good. I like Deshaun Watson in Carolina, and I think that you can flop the draft picks, and this is just all. This is my thinking here.
Mhm.
You flip the draft picks, you send Teddy there. We know why they hired Dave Culley, and I mean, I don't say it. Y'all can say it in the comments, but we know why Dave Culley was hired. He wasn't qualified for that job, but hey, it is what it is. Dak Prescott. Yeah, wishful thinking, right? But if he doesn't, I think he'll stay in Dallas. Most likely. Carr, he's going to stay with the Raiders in Vegas. You can't lose your car in Vegas, even though the house loses all the time. Mariota, realistically, I could see Mariota in Washington, and then Super Cam. That's a weird one. Like, I really don't know where I could see Medea at in her next movie. So I don't know where Cam will go. Will he go to the
one name that I was stuck on too.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Let me come back to that. Mr. Biscuits. I like Denver, John. That's a good one. I think that Vic Fangio can ruin his career there in Denver. It'd be great. Maybe Cam might do that. Maybe he's into the puff pass, right? Or he could be in Chicago. Let's send Cam to Chicago. Alex Smith, I think he's going to end up in Jacksonville. And actually, my cousin actually said in comments too. But I think he can end up in Jacksonville. He'll be down there. He can fake a leg injury. Urban Meyer can fake a heart attack. And it'd be great. It'd be great. It'll just be great down there. And did you have another one, or that was it? Nati?
I think that was it. Did you? Yeah, that was it. That was pretty much
it.
Okay. Yeah. So firstly.
Hey, Nati.
Yeah,
Nati, can I address something real quick?
Yeah.
So there was a point in here that somebody thought I was comparing Trubisky to Brady. I didn't do that, Derek. I was saying that he had no weapons. Brady had no weapons, and Brady did what he needed. And I think it more or less was with Darnold too.
Right.
But
it was
Brady
Darnold.
did. Yeah, it was Darnold more than anything. Brady didn't have weapons, and he might have that killer goat mentality, but he didn't have weapons.
Yeah.
So it's not an excuse for the future play of Mitchell Trubisky. And granted, I'm not saying they are cut from the same cloth. I'm just saying that I'm not in the business of making excuses. That's all.
Yeah, that's fair. And if we're also clarifying things, I want to clarify one thing actually that adds on to the argument that Corey had with Alex Smith. So because we're probably going to designate him as a post-June 1st release, we actually will be saving $19 million on the cap and not $14 million. So an extra $5 million on Corey's argument that he laid out for why the move to Alex Smith is a great one. But in terms of the quarterbacks that I mentioned, so I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. So Deshaun Watson, I think it's tough, him leaving the Texans, but I think they're going to get it done. I think he's going to be on the Miami Dolphins as a week 1 starter. I really believe that. The Dolphins, they just have so much going for them right now. I know they have Tua, but at the same time, swap Tua for Deshaun Watson, some draft picks as well. I mean, if he's going to get moved anywhere, at this point, it has to be either the Dolphins, the Panthers, or the Jets. I just don't see any other team having enough assets to actually acquire him, and for the Texans to actually agree to a trade, because a lot of people forget that has to happen in order for him to get traded. So I think Deshaun Watson will actually end up on the Miami Dolphins. I just think the fit is too perfect for him. Although, Tua's there. John knows Tua's my guy. Roll Tide. But I don't know, man. Tua didn't look too hot last year. I still have hope in him. I still have hope that he will be at least a decent NFL starter, but I don't know if Miami does, and that's all that matters, right? So I think Deshaun Watson will be on the Miami Dolphins, although that's really tough. I just don't think he's going to sit the entire season out and give up so much money to really stand behind what he wants to stand behind. I just don't see that. I think the Texans are going to trade him away. Dak Prescott, I think he's actually going to remain on the Cowboys on a 1-year franchise tag. And I know people might think I'm crazy, but it's going to be a Kirk Cousins situation all over again. He's good for like with the Cowboys after the season. He's no longer going to be a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Even if he stays on the franchise tag, I just think it is a Kirk Cousins situation, and hopefully Washington can scoop him up next year. But I just don't think Dak Prescott is going to leave Dallas at least for one more year, sadly. But Derek Carr, agree with I forgot to mention it. I probably think it was John earlier, and Corey as well. But Derek Carr, Raiders, I think he's going to stay with the Raiders. I mean, he had a really good season last year. A lot of people forget he had over 4,000 yards. I believe his touchdown interception ratio was really good as well. 26-ish touchdowns, 7 picks. Wasn't really bad at all. The Raiders just need to fix their defense. Sam Darnold, I think the Panthers, they've shown that they're very aggressive this offseason. They cleared a lot of cap space. I think the Panthers might be a good fit for Sam Darnold. If you're talking about moving him, right? If the Jets do keep him, they keep him. But if they do move him, I think the Panthers would be a good fit there. Marcus Mariota, he's the guy that I think is going to end up in Washington. I just don't think the risk is too much for him when you think about, how much money he costs. And then you combine the fact where, we want to have a decent quarterback competition. I think adding another guy who showed you some signs late last season of being a quality NFL player and maybe really capitalizing on his comeback in the NFL would be really great. So I think Marcus Mariota is the guy that ends up in DC. Cam Newton, I literally sat at my desk, at my laptop, stared at my laptop, wondering where this man's is going to go, because I honestly do not know. If he does not end up in DC, I really don't know what team is ultimately going to sign him. I just went with a random team / educated guess in the Saints. But that was tough to predict. I just think, with the Saints, at least, they have good infrastructure there in New Orleans. And right now, all depends on Drew Brees if he comes back. I don't think he should, but if he doesn't come back, then, they're going with a guy like Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston. He's technically a free agent as well. So who knows if they're going to re-sign him. So Cam Newton, probably Saints, but I don't know, man. He might just remain a free agent, to be honest. I just don't see in Cam. Mitch Trubisky, agree with both of you guys. Hit this pick out of the park. And I think the Broncos are a very great pick. Drew Lock, he had a pretty good rookie year, or at least he showed some signs in his rookie year of improvement over the course of the season. But last year was just it was terrible. And Mitch Trubisky sitting behind Drew Lock maybe for a game or two, and then Lock maybe gets benched and Trubisky comes up and becomes a starter. I can see that happening with Denver, so I definitely agree with that pick there. And then Alex Smith, get the heaters ready. Get the heaters ready. I think Chicago Bears. Yeah, I think Chicago Bears might actually they're at least interested in getting him because, everybody looks at Alex Smith and sees, this guy just wins. He doesn't put up the prettiest stats, but he just wins. John's point of view there. It's funny how the Bears management and John are probably going to coincide with that viewpoint there, even though on other viewpoints they just completely separate. But I think the Bears might actually be a good fit. And that's it for my quarterback picks. I see everybody in the chat commenting about their picks. Dak ain't leaving Dallas anytime soon. I don't know. I think it's a 1-year thing.
He's gone, Chris. He's gone. Yeah. Just give it up.
His brother doesn't like the fact that he's on the Cowboys. That's family there. So I don't agree with that. But Sam Darnold to RBs, I don't know. I think he's going to get another opportunity.
He should.
If he leaves the Jets. Deshaun is still under contract. I get that, but I don't know. Corey, Dak Prescott. Yeah, the battle of fours. Right? Which four is going to end up in DC? Or
four will be starting at quarterback.
Heineke, Prescott, or Watson.
Look at that. Look at that.
So nice.
Look at it. This is beautiful.
So nice.
It's beautiful.
Look at Dak, man. Yeah.
Look at this. Yeah. How do you not want? I don't buy jerseys, but I'd buy a jersey for this. My goodness.
I will say we're instant Super Bowl contenders if we get Dak and at least a decent receiver.
I mean, it's the NFC East, so at least we win the division again.
Yeah.
Look at that. But look at that. Dak to DC. I mean, come on, people. Keep hope alive. Like I said, Jesse Jackson, keeping hope alive until it's no more. That is my hope right there. I mean, I get people, you can't be afraid to go out and spend money on a quarterback. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, love to save this question for the end of streams. And we have two of the best creators on this platform here tonight. Great show. I mean, a lot of back and forth. There's a period in time where I didn't speak for a good almost 5 to 10 minutes, which was awesome because they were battling it out, talking about Alex Smith, Mitch Trubisky, all these quarterbacks that are here in free agency. And last but not least, though, got to ask about the future of our respective city sports franchises. And I want to get your guys' takes on both Chicago and DC sports teams. And Jon, what are your thoughts on the teams, right? The Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs, Blackhawks. And what do you make of the future of your respective franchises? Do you think there's hope in the future for a championship, if not a deep playoff run for any one of those teams? And we'll start with the complete guest on this channel, and Jon first.
Thank you, Nati. Right now, the Bears are the one that still confuses me. It's very, very, very. It all matters about the quarterback, who they end up getting this year, and that's going to make a big difference. So, I would say right now they're not a Super Bowl contender, and unless they get Russell Wilson, I even think they aren't going to be a Super Bowl contender. They'd be lucky if they make the playoffs next year. The Chicago Bulls are on the up and up, and many of my videos do okay on the Bulls. A lot of people come to me for my Bears thoughts, but the Bulls have been on the up and up. They're about a 500 team right now, first time in a long time. This is under a new head coach, new front office. Zach LaVine has just become a superstar, really. I still didn't contend he was entering this season. I wanted him to be traded. So I'm very happy with their direction. Blackhawks as well, believe it or not. They've done an outstanding job. And the expectation was entering this year, total rebuild, don't worry about us. They're winning games with Jeremy Colleton as the head coach. They just gave him a 2-year extension. A nice young group there that could be good in the future. The Cubs are the one team that are totally on the downturn right now. And it's so funny because I grew up a Cubs fan and now I'm right down the middle. I don't have any respect for them whatsoever. They've done a horrible job over these past couple of years. Now they have indicated that they want to rebuild, which I'm all for, but no one else is. So once again, I'm on the wrong side of the token in that aspect. The White Sox are the one that I'm really excited about, though. I think this year could be a World Series year for them. And if not now, then in the next couple of years. Great young team, probably the best lineup 1 through 9. I would say in the American League, possibly in all of baseball. Top 5 lineup. They need some help pitching. Need back end of the rotation, guys. A number 5 starter would be great, but if your number one concern is a number 5 starter and a good hitting right fielder, you have a lot going for you. And they've done a great job at rebuilding. So there is some hope. But, the Cubs right now are on the downturn, and the Bears are just, they're somewhere. I don't know where yet. It all depends on the quarterback.
I will say this, Corey. You roasted me for saying that I would question my leadership team if we signed Mr. Trubisky. But Jon, down the middle with the Cubs, 5 years after they won the World Series. So what gives? Go ahead, Corey.
So with the football team, I think it's up and up in Washington right now. I mean, you got the Wizards getting ready to beat the Clippers here. And they're fun to watch. They lose bad and they win good. The Washington Capitals, who they finally got the coach that I've always wanted in Peter Laviolette, and I think it's coming to fruition now. They had a tough earned victory in overtime against the Boston Bruins. The Nationals, I don't know what they're going to be this year. A lot of people are saying that it could be the Mets. It'll probably be the Braves. The Phillies might be on the charge, and then Miami might be there again too. So I don't really know, but I'm confident in being a DC sports fan. I've never really questioned my alliances to them, no matter how bad the time has looked. Even if we were to get Mitchell Trubisky, hey, if we get him, he's my quarterback until he does something stupid. I will root for you. You know this. You know this for me.
I'm still gonna root for you.
Yeah. Hey, you stop that. So meet my cat. His name's Tyson. He is he's wanting to get on here. So say hi, Tyson. He watched the Capitals. You watched the Capitals? Go ahead, buddy.
Big Caps fan right there.
Yeah, he's a big Caps fan. So I think we're on up and up here in DC. You know, coming off of a couple championships here not too long ago. I mean, heck, people are watching women's basketball too, which I think is more entertaining than the NBA because they actually play and they play defense. So I think that DC is in good shape. They're in good shape. Can't wait to see what Washington does, whether drafting a quarterback or getting Dak Prescott. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be great. Whatever. Did I say they may get Dak Prescott? But
I don't know. I think you forgot that out of your.
I'm just like, but hey, man, I love watching our teams play. Nati, you know that, man. And you know, John, the only thing I have is about the White Sox. Is La Russa going to survive this season, or is he going to be managing from the nursing home out there?
You know what? I'm surprised you didn't make a DUI joke. So that.
He might. No. See, I'm afraid to make a joke. He might forget. Drank too much out behind the wheel. I think he's back managing in Oakland or something back in the day. So he's like, wait a minute. He said, wasn't the earthquake last night? No. That was about 30 years ago. So yeah.
I don't know what to say after that. I will say though, with the
I'm not petty. I'm not petty.
Oh my gosh. Always a good time with Corey and Jon on the stream. But with the DC teams, yeah, I think, well, definitely for the football team, I think things are definitely heading in the right direction. And we're looking to build a consistent winner for the first time in my lifetime. And looking forward to that, man. I know Corey's dealt with a lot. He's dealt with more, of the chaos that surrounds this team over the years. And I hope for people like him and for all the Washington football Redskins fans, formerly Redskins fans, I hope everyone, we get, consistent winner in DC because we are a football town. A lot of people forget that. I tell this to Jon all the time. Everybody outside the area always thinks of DC as, Washington, right? The nation's capital, solely the nation's capital, where politics happens, where government operations happen, where everything gets made. Well, gridlock happens. But no, we have a very good culture here in DC, and sports are really at the root of that. And I just hope for DC's sake that, we build a consistent winner with the football team. We've dealt with so much in the past. Everybody says, everybody likes to talk about how, they're Lions fans, they're Texans fans. They deal with a lot of tough times, on the field, but we deal with tough times off the field too. We had the whole name change. We had all these sexual harassment allegations. We have Dan Snyder being Dan Snyder, one of the worst owners in all of sports. We have so much chaos going around this team. Jon talks about it all the time, how Washington's always in the news, a lot of times for bad reasons, and definitely true. So hopefully we build a consistent winner. I see the signs, man. We're a quarterback away. We really are. Obviously, I would love to have another receiving option to build a really good powerhouse team, but I think we're a quarterback away from being a consistent winner at the very least. But yeah, so good signs there. Wizards, we're screwed, man. I'm sorry. I know right now they're showing signs of getting into the playoff hunt, but when you factor in all the contracts that we have right now, Bradley Beal's pending contract situation a couple years from now, I don't know, man. I don't know. Hopefully, if we don't get back into the playoffs, man, got to seriously consider about blowing the whole thing up because it's about time. It really is. But if they make the playoffs, if they make a run, good signs for the Wizards, man. Good signs. We're already seeing good signs now, but they have to finish it. They have to finish it and make the playoffs with the talent that they have right now. So we'll see about the Wizards. The Nats, this team right here, I'm looking forward to seeing what they got this year. Technically last year, we forget about that, right? That was a wash. That was a shortened season. We're still, my opinion, we're still the reigning champs. I don't care what anybody says. 2019 World Series champs. Obviously, we had an aging roster at the time. We still have some aging players at this moment in time as well, but we have some young guns. Juan Soto, one of the best players in all baseball. Trey Turner, a lot of people forget about him as well. So looking forward to seeing how the Nats do. The division is tough, though. Like the NL East is really tough. You got the Braves, the Phillies, even the Mets. I mean, so many teams that are really good. So we'll see. Caps, Corey's guy as the coach, very good hire. And I mean, he's been rolling last couple of weeks. You know, they started off kind of slow, but really had bounced back in a nice way. Had a big win against the Bruins, like Corey said. Zdeno Chara in his game, in his return to Boston. And we got a win, you know, in his return. So that's all good there. But I will say, though, when the Mystics won, I remember a couple years back when the Mystics won, John and I talked about it and how, you know, Bear, right? He was clowning me a little bit for, you know, being so excited about the Mystics winning a championship. But, man, what a time in D.C., District of Champions, and hopefully we can return to that. And even for Chicago's sake, hopefully they could capture another, you know, a couple of championships as well. And, yeah, but any last thoughts before we wrap up, guys?
Scott Brooks for Coach of the Year.
Oh, Corey,
Brooks for
you're really gonna end this stream on that.
Scott Brooks for the Coach of the Year.
Oh my.
Ah!
Doc Rivers for Coach of the Year. I'll say that.
Scott Brooks. Because if Scotty can do it for the Wizards, ain't nobody can do a better job than that. Scotty, baby. I can't say it with a straight face. I can't say it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think Dean Izzle, I mean, yeah.
Scott Brooks, baby. Scott Brooks, Coach of the Year, COY. There you go.
Oh, we don't know why if he's Coach of the Year.
Oh, God.
But John, any thoughts about your teams? Anything you got going on? Anything, guys, before we wrap up?
Believe in Mitch Trubisky, and I hope
on,
that he
guys,
has.
Come on.
If he has a good team around him, he will succeed. But that being said, all joking aside, Nati, this was super fun, and Corey, this was really fun too. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
it was fun. Thanks, Nati.
This is super fun, man. Long awaited, right? The back and forth between B Corey and B John from their respective channels, and it was really great stream. Thank you guys. Everybody in the chat for commenting throughout the stream. I really appreciate it. Derek Hawkins, B Nizzle, Fuzzy Pandex, everybody. Derek, once again, man, all these comments, I see them. Tone, Armand, everybody. I appreciate it. And it was a fun one. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe and have a good weekend because it's coming up. All-Star weekend. Hopefully we get some good action there. But if not, have a good weekend regardless. So peace out.